Welcome back to Grownfolk Talk with Patrice. We're talking today about managing grief, riding the grief roller coaster with Gina Spence-Virgil. And so earlier I mentioned about being angry when my brother died. And so some people say, oh, so were you angry at him? I was never angry at my brother, because some people say, well, did you feel like he left you? I didn't feel like he left me. He wouldn't have left me if he had a choice. But I'll be honest and very transparent and say I was angry at God.
Yep.
I was very angry at God because I felt I had been raised to believe in having faith. My brother was sick. We were praying for him. So I knew he was going to be healed. I knew, that, okay, we got this because everybody's praying, right?
Of course.
And then he died. And I remember the night he died saying, God, what happened? Like, it's me.
Yes.
Like, we had a conversation. We talked about this. And I remember feeling very let down and very disappointed.
Yeah.
And so over the years, people have tried to make it make sense. And nobody has to make it make sense. And I remember my mother saying to me, when I told her I was angry, and she said, you have got to remember God doesn't make mistakes. And I said, this is God's first mistake. She was mortified. She was like, let me move before lightning strikes, right? And that's how I thought. I said, this is God's first mistake. I said, and I think God's probably saying, I made a wrong choice. That's how angry I was. I don't know if I feel any differently now. I don't know. I mean, intellectually, I know, okay, maybe that's not, how it goes, but my anger was very, very real. And I was like, I'm not praying anymore. What I praying for? Because prayers don't all of that type of stuff. Part of my grief.
Yes, absolutely. Anger is like most times, even in when I say worst case scenario where you've been given time with the person because you don't have control.
That's it.
And the person that, has control is who?
God.
Okay.
That's it.
So it's easy to point at the person who has control.
Exactly.
Because, and in the church though, the challenges that we've seen in the church community, and I do a lot of work with clergy now as well, is education and putting things into perspectives, right?
Right.
So if we're praying, which is what we do as believers, we don't really have the control.
Right.
It's gonna pan out either way.
Yes.
But what doesn't happen in a lot of the churches is that we also don't let people grieve.
Yes, exactly.
We're gonna pray you through. Come on, God's got you now.
Right.
No, God is. It's not that He doesn't have me.
Right.
I'm a broken person.
But what I believe is that He does.
Exactly.
Right. Yes.
And being able in the church, because we call it where it's conflicting.
Yes.
Where is this God with all this power?
Yes, I felt very conflicted, and so I started. I'm sorry to cut you off. I started trying to make it make sense. My brother's raised his child. Is raised. His stepdaughter, he's been a good son, he's been a good brother, all that. And then you got people around here who are molesting their own children. They don't even catch a curl. Like, I'm trying to somebody make this make sense. And I think the more I thought of that, is the angrier I got. Like, why him? Why is he in the ground? He's somebody's son. He's somebody's husband. He's somebody's father. He's somebody's twin. He's somebody's brother, uncle, all of that. And he's a good person. He went to work every day. My brother died the day before his 30th anniversary at Belcourt. Wow. Every day he went to work. He had a plaque on his desk, 8 years, never sick. And I didn't understand it. Wow. So my anger got worse and worse and worse.
And anger is one of the emotions that God gave us.
Yeah.
It's a normal reaction to what happened to you. Right. A lot of times people are told like there's something wrong with them because they're angry. Right. Or they're told something's wrong with you because you haven't gotten over it yet. Yes. Something's wrong with you because you're still talking about the 8 years. There's nothing wrong with you. You're grieving.
That's right.
That's what's happening. That's it. And a lot of children in particular, when they lose a parent or something happens, divorce, it could be when mommy and daddy are not separated, that child starts to withdraw. He's in a classroom, but he's being sent outside or looking at a wall all day because they don't know what to do with him. Right. Yes. He's not being rude. He's grieving. So once we can identify that it is grief, and within grief, other things come out, other emotions, other experiences, other triggers, because it's all connected, right? But what you felt in that moment toward God, I felt the same thing when my son-in-law got shot.
Yes, yeah.
I was like what?
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not helping
really
all these.
Right.
And I was pissed off with God. I was so angry with him.
Yeah.
And after a while, I had to come down to reality because I had to bury my son-in-law.
Yes.
I had to be there for my daughter.
Right.
You can't stay angry forever.
Yes.
But you have a right to feel what you feel.
Absolutely.
And what you feel is your truth. It's
right.
Exactly. So we have to allow people to have those emotions, and then we have to tool them.
And like you said, Gina, sometimes people they're so busy trying to tell us to be strong, okay, and they think, oh, your brother wouldn't want you to feel like that. And I would start saying to people, how do you know? Did he tell you that?
We call these cliches.
Yes, they are. I have a list of them.
It's what we're taught.
Right, to
it's
say.
It's cultural, yeah.
Yes,
we don't know what to say,
right.
so we say what we're taught to say.
That's it.
I remember somebody saying that to my daughter.
Yeah.
And she was so angry,
Of course she was.
I said to the person, I said, you know what? Tell me, listen to what you just said. She should be strong. I said, so she just put her husband 6 feet
in the ground.
You want her to be
why?
Is that what?
Why do we have to be strong?
But when you think about it, it doesn't even make sense.
It doesn't.
But it's what we're taught. It's what we do culturally.
It's what we've heard people say.
People are educated. Again, going back to what is grief,
right?
And how do you help a grieving person to deal with and allow them, give them the permission and the space and the grace.
Yes. Grace. That's the word. That's the word.
It's not, there's no, like I said, nobody does it the same way. There's no blueprint.
Right.
Some emotions we can certainly look at and say, okay, this is how you handle anger in this particular situation.
Yes.
But with death, with loss,
different.
With divorce, with losing your friendship, somebody you've loved all your life.
Yes,
there is no blueprint, but there is help.
Yeah, and that's the good thing. So, and you were talking about people like comparing, and so I remember when my brother died. This girl said to me, "I know exactly how you feel. My granny just died the other day. She was 98. I know exactly what you're going through.
Yeah,
my brother was 49. Your granny's 98. We should be burying our 98-year-old grandparents. I'm thinking, And I felt like saying, don't be stupid.
Yeah.
I get that she was grieving the loss of her grandmother. I get that. It's the relationship they had. But don't tell me I know how you feel. Because and I'm sure she didn't mean anything by it. But stop saying that.
Yeah, but that's what we're taught.
Yes.
It's what we're taught to do. Is how our culture. I mean, when you look at a lot of people, somebody dies. Yeah. You have a few days off.
Yes.
But you go back to work.
You go back to work. Life goes on.
I mean?
Life goes on.
Even people being given the right amount of time to grieve.
Yeah.
But it's what we do. We don't address it. We don't talk about it. We don't give the person the opportunity to say, you know what, mommy? Today is a hard day. Birthdays, death anniversaries, all those things are going to show up.
Yes.
Every one of those dates that show up, there will be, sometimes it will be different from the other.
Right.
Sometimes it will be exactly the way it was before. But it's only based on where you are in your journey. It's called
a journey. It's definitely a journey.
And it's okay for people to accept the fact that you're in your journey.
Not theirs.
And your journey is
not how they handled it.
Mine, right?
That's it.
So just like I said, teaching people on what grief is and what it is not. And then if they are ready, because nothing's going to work if you're not ready.
Right.
And I find that sometimes, depending on the scenario, so sudden death.
Yes.
People tend not to want to deal with any type of counseling because of the shock of it all. Even long-term death, somebody's had cancer and they're coming down to the final stages, conflicting.
Yes.
Because you don't want the person to be sick anymore. You don't want to lose any more hair. You don't want them to be
in pain.
But you don't want to let them go.
You don't want to let them go.
Conflicting. Right. The same word we used earlier with anger.
That's right.
And it's natural responses to not wanting to let somebody go.
Of course.
But not wanting to see them
in pain,
sick.
suffering.
So how do you give people tools and help people to acknowledge?
Yes.
Because that's what people want. You as you go through your grieving process, you want people to give you your respect.
Yes.
As a griever.
That's right.
You don't want to be analyzed. You don't want to be criticized. And you definitely don't want to be told what to do.
And we don't want to be told it's time to move on. Exactly. Or he or she wouldn't want you to feel like that. And you're still there or you're still crying and things like that.
Exactly. But the training that we do or the type of program that we do allows all of those things to take place in a healthy space.
Okay.
Because this is what I say to people when they come to me. I say, listen, we're going to deal with your grief.
Yeah.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I'm going to open you up emotionally and we're going to unlock your grief door.
And opening up emotionally means a lot of crying, a lot of vulnerability.
For some people, it doesn't.
Really?
One lady, she never cried. She said, I don't know what's wrong with me, but I want to, but I can't. And I said, well, what is it? You tell me what you think is blocking you from releasing that emotion. And she said she was taught to be strong. Even though she knows she said, I just couldn't do it.
Right.
And so, we had to create a space.
Yes.
Because I said, that's not natural.
It's not.
And it's not healthy. Emotionally,
oh my gosh, it comes out at some point.
Of course it does. So just helping people, like I said, to come into a space where I'm respecting you as a griever.
Right. I'm respecting you as a griever.
I'm respecting you as a griever. That's who you are today.
Yeah.
And when you walk out that door, that's who you are.
Right.
And then giving people tools on how to deal with this, how to identify the red flags.
Yes.
So when we start our session, we identify all of those dates that have an effect on you, right? Birthday, the day that he passed.
Right.
Any significant, we call them significant experiences.
Yes.
So if I'm counseling you that week, and this is the week that it happened,
right.
I already know that you may not want to come to me this Thursday.
Yes.
But I'm not saying to you, look, you're supposed to be here at 2:00.
Right.
I understand that
you may not want to be here.
Exactly.
Right. So acknowledging. Because sometimes we try not to acknowledge because we don't know what emotions that's going to evoke.
Yep.
So it's catch-22.
Yep. But if you've been given the right tools, and obviously in this session, in this medium, I can kind of walk you through it.
Right.
But all I can say is that when people, if they want to do because it's not, like I said, it's not a situation where you come and say, hi, my name is Gina, help me. Right. No, there are some very specific things that a griever has to do in order to get some sense of healing and moving forward. It's processes, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That and we've seen people, I'm talking from myself.
Yeah.
So when I did my training, I had to deal with my own grief.
Of course.
So how can, in order for me to help somebody else, I got to deal with my own.
Right.
And they always say, put your mask on first. So recently, as I said, a friend of mine passed, a very dear friend.
Yes.
And the group of women that I was, involved with were expecting me as the grief recovery specialist to host the session.
Right.
And they were looking like, well, aren't you? No, I'm a griever now.
Yes, exactly. This is my role now.
I need help.
Right.
I'm struggling just as much as you.
And when we try to act like we're not struggling, we're okay, we're fine, we're strong. The strong word comes back in.
Yes.
Then we have problems.
Yep.
So the people who are not ready. Okay, so let's go back to talking about that. People who are not ready. When they don't want to get rid of the clothes or the jewelry or whatever it is, or even change the linen on the bed, we cannot, for me, I feel like we cannot be saying it's time for you to move, it's time for you to get over, it's time for you. Who gives anyone the right to dictate the time?
No one.
Right.
No one can tell anyone give you a time frame as to how long your grief should end or how you should grieve.
Yes.
And most times when they're ready, they'll do what they have to do.
They know when they're ready.
Because they know inside of themselves
Yes.
that they're ready to do this.
Right.
But what the sessions help you do is identify that you're not getting rid of the memory and the connection to the person.
Right.
You may be getting rid of something that's tangible.
Yes.
And when you're ready to do that, it's okay to do it.
Got you.
They're not going to guilt you.
Right.
They're not going to judge you. They're not going to analyze you.
Because we've heard people say, I can't believe she got rid of his clothes already. Or I can't believe he did that already. Or I can't believe he got married again already. Or whatever the case is.
Yeah.
So we'll talk some more about that because...
Let's talk about it.
It's a journey.
It is,
as you said. It's a journey. And when we are left to deal with it and get help, I think the journey gets a little smoother. We are talking about managing grief today here on Grownfolk Talk with Patrice and my co-host, Dr. Gina Spence-Virgil. We will be right back.